The chair calls Don Currens for a teller's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the time of last ballot, there was 8,127 messengers registered, with 3,758 messengers casting their ballots. For the office of the Second Vice Presidency, Alex Sands, he received 1,689 votes. It's represented 44.94%. Ryan Fullerton received 1,029 votes for 27.38%. Rodolfo Diaz received 1,030 votes for 27.41% of the votes. There was 10 disallowed, which represented 0.27%.
Thank you, Don. So for the record, the Office of Second Vice President Alex Sands received 1,689 votes, 44.94%. Ryan Fullerton, 1,029 votes for 27.38%. Rodolfo Diaz-Pons, 1,030 votes, just one more, for 27.41%. I'm going to ask the... Okay, there is no majority, so we will have to do a runoff. I'm going to ask Don Currens to come and explain that.
Okay. Now there are actually 8,132 messengers registered as of the last 5 minutes. So they got it in before noon. Please take out ballot number 9. For this runoff, ballot number 9. You know the spiel. You have in the hall, no proxy voting is allowed. Again, ballot number 9 for this runoff. If you wish to vote for Alex Sands, this is for the runoff for the Second Vice Presidency, put an X on the square number 1. Alex Sands put an X on square number 1. To vote for Rodolfo Diaz-Pons, put an X on square number 3. Square number 3. Rodolfo Diaz-Pons, put an X on square number 3. Please pass them to your right as you're finished. Okay. And ushers, please collect the ballots.
This is the time for previously scheduled business, and we are looking at the motion to abolish the ERLC. I move that messengers, this is Joshua Scruggs' motion, I move that messengers of the 2022 SBC annual meeting abolish the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention with the first of the two necessary votes taking place during the 2022 annual meeting. And upon an affirmative vote, the second vote be automatically added to the 2023 SBC annual meeting order of business.
Ask Mr. Scruggs if he's at microphone 4A.
Mr. Scruggs, are you at microphone 4A?
He's at 2.
Mr. Scruggs is at microphone 2.
He has the right to speak first.
You have the right to speak first, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. 1 Corinthians 1:10 says, "Now I exhort you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you all agree and that there be no divisions among you, but that you be made complete in the same mind and in the same judgment." Though my motion to discontinue the ERLC may not seem like it, I'm trying to exhort us to be like-minded, or at least to put an end to some of our divisiveness. Like the Corinthian church, we are a divided people. We evidenced this yesterday. In the meeting, I heard more than one individual reference that they did not want their words or actions to be viewed as political, with the default assumption being that they would be otherwise. Messengers tried multiple times to boo or shout down those that they disagreed with, and there were other things as well. In a few brief moments that I had to check Twitter, I saw rumors that candidates were trying to move times of votes in order to steal an election, and our division is disgraceful. So why abolish the ERLC? I motioned that we abolish the ERLC in order to remove an entity that had the unintended consequence of causing needless division among Southern Baptists, and it will continue to do so. As I understand it, at an annual meeting years ago, messengers approved the mission and ministries of the ERLC found on their website. Ministry items 2 and 4 are of particular concern because in them, I think, we have given the ERLC an assignment that inevitably will cause significant division. Both of these ministries have the ERLC speaking for Southern Baptists. One on moral and ethical concerns and the other on religious liberty concerns. The problem with this is that the ERLC then takes a position on an issue that Southern Baptists significantly disagree on. Sometimes we may have been unclear. At others, we may have not taken an official position at all because it falls outside the Baptist Faith and Message or resolutions. Sometimes we may have conflicting resolutions, as in the case of CRTI. Or possibly the ERLC leaders' beliefs or conscience causes them to go against the will of the messengers and the churches. Two brief examples of this division-causing positions are, from some years ago, the support of the amicus brief in favor of religious liberty to build a mosque, and two, in more recent times, the signing of an open letter against a bill in Louisiana that would criminalize abortion because it would hold a mother accountable for murdering their baby and not see them as unwitting victims of the abortion industry. Since the mission of the ERLC will inevitably lead to needless conflict, and because as
My brother, your time has expired. Thank you. We're looking for the president or the chairman of the ERLC. Are you at one of the microphones? They desire to make a response, so this is where we'll start. The chair recognizes Brent Leatherwood.
Mr. President, I am Brent Leatherwood, and I am a messenger from Brentwood Baptist Church in Nashville, Tennessee, and I also have the honor of serving as acting president of your Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission. Acts 1:8 tells us to take the gospel to the uttermost parts of the earth. Mr. President, we all know that that includes nations around the globe and cities and towns here at home. But it has been the case for decades now that the SBC counts the public square as a part of that. And you have charged this entity to be your representatives in the arena, bringing truth and grace to a world in desperate need of such. Our beloved Baptist faith and message reaffirms this in multiple areas, but especially in Article 15. Now, I admit there's been frustration with various personalities and stances over the years. I hear you. When I was given this role, I told our team, let us double down on our mission, because regardless of the personality leading at any given point, our mission remains the same, unchanging, to equip our churches to apply Christian principles to the moral and social problems of the day. In effect, we speak for and from our churches. Mr. President, I would urge defeat of this motion because at this moment, when our advocacy will be needed now more than ever, as you just heard from Dr. Al Mohler, there is an opportunity that is coming, very likely with this Supreme Court decision, where we're going to have to take a state-by-state level approach to ensure that pro-life laws that protect preborn lives are enshrined into law. Mr. President, that is exactly what we have been doing at the federal level, and we look forward to doing it at the state level, as well as to defend religious liberty and, of course, spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. To turn our back on the public square at a time when it is needed most would be to go away from the gospel. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Brett? 4A, microphone 4A to speak for the motion.
Thank you. Josh Abatoy, the University Park Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, speaking for. I would love to live in a world where a bold and faithful ERLC advocates for just policies, but that's not the world that we live in. Abolishing the ERLC is better than continuing to fund a compromised ERLC. The ERLC creates bad incentives, and we don't seem capable of properly managing those incentives. People use the ERLC as a platform for political ambitions. Please allow me to provide a couple examples. One former president sought to use the SBC merely as an instrument of the GOP. Another used the ERLC to build a national media platform that he then used to take to the pages of The Atlantic and other major publications to demean our denomination after he left in a loud fashion. Another ERLC employee recently joined the Biden campaign, thereby advancing the culture of death. The ERLC exists ostensibly to represent the interests of Southern Baptists in the halls of Washington, D.C. and around the country. But sadly, it appears that they instead adopt the interests of Washington, D.C. and chastise Southern Baptists for not signing on the line for any number of debatable policy priorities, such as mass amnesty for illegal aliens. Too often, the leadership speaks for D.C. against the pews, not for the pews to D.C. The recent open letter that the ERLC put its name on took a stance that is directly contrary to what Dr. Mohler just enunciated from the stage regarding the equal protection of the law for unborn children. Because we have not seen serious proposals to address these pervasive incentives leading to mission creep within the ERLC, we should abolish it. Thank you.
Our time is coming close to expiring, but to be fair, we want to recognize someone who speaks against the amendment now, and this will close out our time. Microphone 6, would you speak against the amendment?
Yes. I'm Richard Land, I'm a messenger from Clearview Baptist in Franklin, Tennessee. And I cannot imagine a more damaging moment for the Southern Baptist Convention to defund the ERLC, just at the precise moment when, after nearly 50 years of effort, we are on the verge of having Roe v. Wade overturned. That will immediately lead to a battle in all 50 states, in the state legislatures. And Southern Baptists will be leading that charge. And the ERLC is perfectly primed to be a resource, to be a help, and to help share information among the 50 states. I gave 25 years of my life to the ERLC. I know the good it's accomplished. I know the religious liberty it's defended. I know the unborn babies it's defended. And I would implore you to not defund the ERLC. Now, you may be unhappy with some of the things they say. I'm unhappy with some of the things they say. Every year in staff retreat, when I was head of the commission, I said, if we do our job right, sooner or later, we're going to make everybody mad. If we don't make them mad on one thing, we'll make them mad on something else. It goes with the job. It's the territory. But Southern Baptists have a unique voice in Washington and around the world because of the ERLC. And to defund the ERLC because you're unhappy with some of what it may have done would be like taking a cannon to destroy a mosquito. The mosquito dies, but there's great, great calamitous consequences overall.
Our time has expired, and the question is on the adoption of the amendment. If you have your ballots ready. I'm sorry, excuse me. The question is on the adoption of the motion to abolish the ERLC. If you have your ballots, those in favor of the motion, would you raise your ballots and hold them in place, please? All right, you may put them down. Those opposed to this motion, would you raise your ballots? And the motion fails.
Go to your benediction now. Benediction.
All right.